It's time to go through the papers in a bit more detail with Dawn Neeson, former editor of the Daily Star, and Peter Whittle, director of the New Culture Forum.
Morning.
Good to see you both this morning. Can we kick off with the eye and medics leaving the NHS, Dawn?
Yes, indeed. It's covered in most of the papers, but the eye have splashed on it and done a spread inside. And this is reporting that NHS medics have been quitting in record numbers as staff warn of burnout among overwhelmed workforce. More than 27,000 medics left the NHS in the third quarter of last year. And they've spoken to some of the people at the front line who have given horrific examples of what they've been through. And there was one... He is suffering from PTSD after working on a COVID ward, with the strain costing him his marriage. And you can't quite believe what these people have been dealing with.
I think it's been relentless, hasn't it? They've been going into work every day, facing growing worries, dealing with staff, having to do jobs that they're not used to doing themselves, having to take on extra responsibilities. And I think the idea, I know several people who are under that sort of strain, and the idea of going in and another year of it or something like that is just too much.
The one that
they
really,
are leaving.
The one that really worried me, Anne, was Claire, a nurse in the northeast of England, and she said, I can't remember the last time I looked after somebody properly. I feel like I'm spinning plates and waiting for them to come down. And it's that sort of quote that is really quite scary, because it makes you appreciate that we can't carry on like this, can we? It was something has to give, and I'd rather it not be the marriages and the mental health.
But I wonder what
people on the front line.
I mean, how do you cope if you've got staff off because they've got COVID? How do you deal with it? Let them back into the hospital even though they've got COVID? You can't do that, can you? Or can you? I mean, we earlier heard of a care home that's thinking of doing exactly that.
Well, perhaps, in the long run, there will be some wider look at the way that the NHS works, so that basically, staff are not exposed for this great length of time. I mean, this is the point, really, isn't it? Over the long term. At the moment, you can't do it, but maybe a general look at the way in which the NHS is...
But that's more staff, then, is it?
Well, possibly.
Yeah.
I know it's become almost a cliche now, but it needs like a root and branch, and this is not something that can happen overnight, but a reorganisation. When you've got a staff nurse, the sort of lady that they've interviewed here saying, I can't do my job properly, on £23,000 a year, and you've got a manager who quite clearly aren't doing their jobs properly on £240,000 a year.
Absurd.
Something is going wrong. Something has gone horribly wrong with the system.
Huge amount of managers.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the NHS was under stress before the pandemic came.
Of course.
I mean, all of these professionals were warning of this.
Yes.
But then the pandemic hit, and it's been worse than anyone could possibly imagine.
And we should have prepared. We had an exercise to prepare for this a good few years ago.
And the experts are constantly saying this isn't going to be our only pandemic.
No, it's going to happen again, Anne.
So we've got to learn lessons fast, haven't we?
I think so. I mean... I get the feeling that we're slightly, possibly over the peak now of the whole thing. That's my feeling. So maybe the situation will ease, but I think the structural problems will be there. I mean, there's a crisis for the NHS virtually every winter, is there not?
Yes,
really?
Always is.
And so this is the problem. I think this has got to be somehow faced, but politically it is so difficult to do it.